Steel City Sports back here for another playoff video. So we're about an hour away from the college national championship game. I've got some pretty decent money on Washington, so I'm actually really excited, very anxious for this game. So I can't really sit still right now, so I thought it'd be a good time to make another playoff video. So we're going to count down the top 5 people in the NFL who have the most pressure on them heading into the playoffs. So we're going to get into this list now. But make sure if you're a fan of college football, you stay tuned for after the big game. We're going to be doing a review of that. But let's get into the list. Coming in at 5th place, we have Jared Goff, who has a decent amount of pressure on him going into these playoffs. We know that Jared Goff's limitations in the playoffs for the Rams was a big reason why McVay moved off him. McVay went to ownership and basically said, this guy's not good enough for this team to win a Super Bowl. We got to make a move, and they did for Stafford. It's crazy that you just look at it on paper. A first overall quarterback leads your team to a Super Bowl, and just within the next couple of years, you trade him away. It's like unprecedented to see that happen. However, McVay, he saw the limitations of Goff in the playoffs, especially that last playoff game against the Packers. He was not good. And even this year, we've seen Jared Goff in some big games just not look very good, especially that game against Dallas. I know that they got screwed over by the refs. I'm not denying that. They definitely did. However, Jared Goff threw 2 despicable interceptions in that game, and I think that there's going to be a lot of pressure on him in this game because, this is Detroit's first playoff game in forever. They're going to want to see a win, of course. They're favored in this matchup against his former team. He's going against the guy he was traded for, Matthew Stafford. Of course, he's going to want to get revenge on the team that shipped him out of town. But we've seen Jared Goff in these big moments just not look that good. And I think the Rams, they're playing with house money here. Like no one, myself included, expected the Rams to make the playoffs. So given the fact Jared Goff hasn't looked great in the big games, he's going against Sean McVay and Stafford, the guys that got him to Detroit. I think he's definitely going to be under some pressure in this game. So in years past, I would have probably put Josh Allen at 1 or 2 on this list. However, just the way that this year played out, he's really the only reason that they made the playoffs. The midpoint of this year, they were 6-6. They looked like a fledgling disaster. It looked like they were in the midst of an epic downfall. However, they fire their offensive coordinator. They go 6-1 after that, and Josh Allen really put his Superman cape on. All that being said, they've been one of the top contending teams for the past 4 years, and they have nothing to show for it. They have one AFC championship appearance. They don't have Super Bowl appearance. They don't have, obviously, a Super Bowl win. So just for the fact that they've been a dominant team in this era of football and don't have anything to show for it, and for the fact that this is a weird year in the AFC, like I feel like it's wide open. You don't have the Bengals, a team that has beaten up on the Bills in years prior. The Chiefs are in the midst of probably their worst season during the Mahomes era. So I feel like it's wide open for the Bills to make it to the Super Bowl this year, despite Allen being Superman. And we know that even though Allen is incredible, he has played the Bills out of some games with his reckless turnovers. So if he has a game like that where he throws 4 picks in a playoff game, it's going to be really, really bad for him. So I do think that there is a decent amount of pressure on him. And at number 3 is the only non-player on this list, the 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan. The reason he's on this list is I don't think the 49ers are ever going to have a better opportunity to win a Super Bowl than this year. They're never going to have as talented a roster as this year because you're going to lose guys, whether it's to retirement, whether it's to free agency, whether you have to trade guys because of budget reasons. Brandon Ayuk is a $20 million level guy. I don't know how he gets that whenever Debo's being paid, George Kittle's being paid, Trent Williams is being paid, Fred Warner's being paid. So you might lose a guy like Brandon Ayuk. Trent Williams is 35 years old. He's not getting any younger. Christian McCaffrey's got a lot of miles on him, and this is his first season where he's been really healthy, but you can't pencil in McCaffrey to be healthy every season. Basically every year prior to this one, he dealt with major injuries throughout the season. Debo Samuel is a very physical type of player. I don't see him lasting in the NFL another 5 years. So just given the fact that they have so many great players, this is, I think, their window this season. The fact that they have the 1 seed, they're getting the bye, and they have all these players, they're going to lose some of them. I think this is the year the Niners have to get it done. Coming in at number 2, we have Dak Prescott, who has a career playoff record of 2-4. You think of how many loaded Dallas teams Dak has been a part of, and they've always kind of just shit the bed in the playoffs. Whether it's his fault or not, it seems like the Cowboys always seem to disappoint. You think of last year in a very winnable game against the Niners, they lost that. The year prior in 2021, they had the Niners at their home, and they lost that game just due to Mike McCarthy's idiotic time management. But I think they're in a similar situation with the Niners. It's like they're going to get to a certain point where they're going to start losing some of these great players. Like Dak has always had a very talented team in Dallas, but there's going to reach a certain point where you start losing some of these guys, specifically Tyron Smith, who's, 35, 36. You're going to lose that guy. I mean, losing a guy like that changes the makeup of the offense. Like, go look at the stats when Tyron Smith plays versus when he doesn't. It's a completely different team. I would not be surprised if this is his last season, So, I think they're at a point now where it's like you got to eventually make it happen. And I don't think they're going to ever make that happen because Dak is limited and has shown time after time in the big games that he's just not good enough. And at number 1 is this year's MVP, Lamar Jackson. He had to be number 1 on this list because I feel like he's always been attached to this narrative that he's just not the same player in the playoffs. He has a 1-3 career playoff record. You look back to the last time he won an MVP in 2019, the Ravens went 14-2, and then they lost their first playoff game to the far less talented Titans. And it was pretty much to the fault of Lamar Jackson. He was just not able to play whenever they didn't have a lead. They got significantly behind, and he just was not able to play up to the standard he did in the regular season. I don't think he has really much of an excuse now because I think he's much more a complete player than he was in 2019. I think he really has grown as a thrower. They've got him a much better receiving core with Zay Flowers, OBJ. And the defense, this is one of the best defenses in the NFL. Having all that, being the 1 seed, being a bye, the Ravens cannot afford to. I think if the Ravens don't make it to the Super Bowl this year, it's going to be a disappointment. Just for the simple fact that you had the bye, you have such a talented team. This might be, player for player, the most talented team in the entire NFL. And if you fail once again to make a significant playoff run, I think it's going to be really bad for Baltimore because it's like, what more can you ask for this year? I feel like all of the dominoes have fallen in the Ravens' favor this year. They're the 1 seed. They have the MVP. They have a great supporting cast room. Their defense is incredible. What more can you ask for? So that has been my list. You guys let me know yours in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.